Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are in the Defining Relationships series, and this week we're going to be talking about the responsibility and fear in leadership. I just want to spend a few moments thanking y'all. We really appreciate it. We know again that this is a Saturday, that you could be doing something else, and I hope you're highly caffeinated. I know it's probably been a long week in construction, but grab a cup of coffee, grab some notes, grab a pen, and hopefully three young guys in the Silver Fox can add a little bit of value to each one of your lives. So as we just kind of bring everybody in, I wanted to give everybody a chance. This week I'm really focusing on, we want your guys' feedback. We want you guys to really tell us what you think about what we're talking about today. And so whenever I ask a question, I'm going to try to put it up on the screen, and you guys just in the comments just fire away. So I'm going to bring them in, but I want each of you guys, while we're talking about this again, to just kind of comment on it. So I'm going to bring them in. Walker Lott, I'm going to ask, who are you, and tell us about a servant leadership moment you witnessed in the past month. Put you on the
Oh
spot.
man.
Whoa.
Oh, starting off strong, huh, Davis? Walker Lott. I have the honor of co-hosting the Lighting Foundations podcast with Davis. Man, a servant leadership moment. Man, oh man. Okay, let me think through it. I would say our superintendent on our job sites. I don't have an exact moment, but I was on the site the past week. He definitely exemplifies servant leadership. He's not that kind of guy that goes out there and kind of like will curse at the crews and say they're doing it wrong, and the typical like old school type superintendent. He's very conversational. He's firm but fair, as Chaplow would say. And he just goes out there and wants to solve a problem. So he'll, he's not afraid to go out there and do it himself. But he approaches the job site more as a servant, as a friend that is able to take a leadership role, or he is the leadership role, but he's able to, guide the process more by doing that than he would if he just went out there and said everything's doing it wrong. Because if you do that, people hide it from you. And he's more of a, come bring all the problems to me. Let's solve it together. I'll help you. I will help serve you with that. And then we'll accomplish this together, and not something that I don't know about is going on because you're scared to talk to me, sort of thing. That's the only thing I can think of right now, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
That's good. That's really good. I like that. And most people, like you said, whenever you're just so brash on confrontation, most people don't want to come and tell you about it after that. They're like, well, if that's how he's going to respond, I'm just going to keep it to myself and not tell the leader about anything. So, all right, Mr. Jesse Hernandez, who are you? And tell us about a servant leadership moment you witnessed in the past month.
All right. So Jesse Hernandez, y'all know me, host of the Learnings N Missteps podcast, safety guy for Lifetime Property Development, and just all around social media mogul. Servant leadership moment. I'm going to cheat because I didn't specifically witness it, but I did have a conversation with an amazing leader who had gone out to a project and witnessed what I would recognize as kind of normal behavior. And so the three of you probably have experienced this. And Rene, I know you've experienced it from me. It's very easy for the experienced guys to have fun with the lack of experience a young professional has on site. And so it's just common. We went through it. It's what we know. So we'll jazz them and pick on them and joke on them and like, oh my God, I can't believe you made it out of the trailer. And are you okay? Like this sort of thing. One of my team members saw that and took it upon himself to surface the issue directly with the more experienced team members and say, hey, I understand what you're doing. I get it. We've all been there, but you're not helping the individual grow. And what's beautiful about it is it doesn't have like direct authority in terms like those leaders don't report to him. And he was visiting the project. So he could have easily walked away and said, man, they got problems over there. but he took ownership for the situation and addressed it directly.
Hmm.
And so how is that servant leadership? One, the leadership behavior is in seeing something that is not appropriate or something that he believes isn't appropriate and doesn't serve the human being and doesn't serve the greater purpose, did something about it. And the fact that he was doing it to serve the individual that was, going through the hazing, that's what it's all about, right? Because in order for me to lead, I must serve. And so from my perspective, he's planting the seeds and laying the foundation. You like that? He's
There it
laying
is.
the foundation for people to trust and respect his influence and his contribution to the team dynamic. I wish I was there to see it. I probably would have, teared up a bit. It's not an easy thing to do, but I found personally when I'm taking that type of action, addressing people about, hey, this isn't cool, when I'm doing it on behalf of somebody else or in alignment with the greater purpose, it's way, way easier. So that's my example, guys.
Yeah, that's good. And I just think there's so much in construction with whenever you're trying to truly serve somebody, like it cuts people at a different level, and not in a bad way, in a good way, to where it's like, man, this guy or gal, there's something different about them. There's something different about Walker or Jesse or Renee whenever that person literally is doing something for someone else and they're not asking for anything in return. When I think about that, and you do that on the job site, people start to look at you like, whoa, he's not asking for anything in return, and he's just picking up my trash for me or leading me through something I'm going with, or maybe it's something in life. But Jesse, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And so, Renee, tell us a little bit about a servant leadership moment you witnessed in the past month.
Past month, I got a small one that just happened last Thursday, actually. So when we got the job as field coordinators, it was me and three other gentlemen in the kind of the what is it called, the not introductory class, but the orientation, right? And one of the things that our foreman explained to us in the class was, if we ever run out of paint, because we paint the utilities, if we ever run out of paint, to call the foreman so he can come bring you some more paint, right? So when he was explaining that, I was like, I'll just carry extra, that way, because we all work in clusters of town, so we're not too far from our partner. So I was like, in my head, I was like, I'll just carry extra boxes, so that way the foreman doesn't have to come all the way from wherever he is, and if I'm closer, I can just do it. And that opportunity never presented itself until last Thursday. And my buddy actually called me saying that he was on his last cans, and I just volunteered to go give him some of my boxes of paint. And I got all warm and tingly inside because the opportunity finally presented itself to do a duty that the foreman would do.
Right.
So I don't know if that counts as servant leadership, but that's the best I got for the last month.
No, that's good. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. The fact that you are willing to serve, that's the whole point. And that's really why, guys, we're talking today. Is I wanted to set this up in a way that the rest of this live stream kind of makes sense. And so I think, and I know Jesse believes this. I'm hoping Walker, Renee, we didn't do as much prep as we should, but everything rises and falls in leadership, and I think that servant leadership's the only way really to do it, because you're getting out of your way, worrying about Davis Hambrick, and I'm worried about the team. I want to get them in the right seats. I want to get them where when stuff goes bad, I'll take the fall. When stuff goes great, I'm giving it to y'all, and that's just how I believe it works. And so as we set this up, I kind of wanted to move this into the next section and really talk about the responsibility. And so before the call, guys, I mentioned, Webster Dictionary defines responsibility terribly. So we're not going to say what that definition was. But for you guys, the comment section, please tell us. I mean, we want y'all to get involved with us if you're watching today. And then I'm going to go to Walker. How do you define responsibility?
I mean, it's hard to define it as one thing. To me, responsibility goes along with Jocko Willink's extreme ownership. I mean, I think that's one aspect of it. It's not. It's really easy to blame other people. It's really easy to blame other people. Like if something goes wrong, I'll give an example. 2 days ago, we got an email from one of our engineers, and it was later in the day. I was traveling home, and it was late, and I saw it, but I really didn't look at it. And this should have been picked up a while ago by me and everyone combined, but I kind of took it personally just because I was dealing with all the structural stuff for all these different pieces of equipment. And it didn't occur to me that one of the skids we had a ton of other equipment with it that was very, very heavy, like 48,000 pounds, 42,000 pounds. And that might require a thickened slab. We just poured one for some 20,000 gallon tanks. And so I was like, we might need one. But the same morning that I looked at this, the next morning I was looking at the email and I saw this. I was like, oh no, guess what slab we're pouring at the same moment that I'm looking at this email. And so, the email wasn't sent to me, but I took it as I should have caught this sort of thing. And it hurt me just because, damn, this could hurt the project. This could, push things back. And I think we got it figured out because my structural engineering guys on the team are awesome. And they help you out when they can. It's like, man, I think I got this for you. I think we'll be all right. But it's in that situation, like the whole team, it's easy to point fingers at the other person. Like, you should have caught this. You should have caught it. You should have caught this. I think if you take it upon yourself, then everyone will back you up, because then they'll be like, well, that I should have caught that too. Or someone else, I should have caught that too. So it's just not, we're taking responsibility. It's just, to me, it's just taking it upon yourself. And even if it's not your fault, like if it's not your fault, that's great, but help the person whose quote unquote fault it might be,
Right.
because you're going to be on the other end of that at some point.
Yeah, that's good, Walker. I appreciate you saying that. Frank C on YouTube, which, hey, we got our first YouTube guy. It's awesome.
Yes.
Frank C said responsibility is being accountable for your commitments. I love that. I mean, how many times in construction when we're so busy and we commit to something, yeah, okay, I'll get that to you by a certain
Good.
time, and then it comes back around and I didn't get it to him. I mean, hey, that's my own fault there. I messed up and I should have owned that commitment. I love that. So Jesse, what do you think? How do you define responsibility?
I love it. I agree with Frank C on there. So for me, I try to, I don't know, in my head, it's simple. It may come across as complicating things, but I think of the word, like, to me, there's two words there: response and able. And so fundamentally in my head, it is the fact that I am able to respond to the situation, to the matter at hand.
Okay.
Now that can be applied to anything. And so the way it becomes powerful is to, like Walker said, and what Frank C said, is when I take ownership of my ability to respond, I am displaying, or I am demonstrating responsibility and carrying it to the end. And there's times where, well, there's a lot of times where I take on responsibility that I really don't have the bandwidth to carry forward. And I think it's okay to come back and say, hey, Walker, I know I said I was going to do this, but I'm not going to be able to get it to the finish line.
That's right.
I need help. And so again, that goes back to the ability to respond. Can I respond to my own shortcomings or my own limitations and respond to them and bring access resources so that we achieve the goal together?
Yeah.
Once I got clear on what responsible was, it became very easy. And then, of course, I overcommitted and still kind of do, but working through that right now, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Same.
I think we have the same problem there. I think Thomas literally just took what you said. Look at the word responsibility, response and ability. The ability to choose your response. I love that. We have the decision to, our emotions. Am I going to get mad in this moment? Am I going to be joyful in this moment? I love that. You have the choice to respond. And then, are you highly proactive? People recognize that responsibility. They do not blame circumstances, conditions, or conditioning of their behavior. And I love that. Oh, and then Thomas said, Stephen Covey quote. That's where he got. That's awesome. I love that. So Rene, as we come to you, last but certainly not least, I say the best. How do you define responsibility?
Well, I'm a little upset because Walker stole my answer. So no, but he nailed it. I just want to add So extreme ownership. I think responsibility is taking ownership of the events that unfold in your life, or your situation or your job, and even if it's not super clear what went wrong or right, finding out and trying to analyze and understand what you contributed to the problem or the success. Like I was just having a conversation with one of my coworkers who was feeling a little maybe jaded or upset that he didn't get a certain promotion, or our company promotes the suck ups over the hard workers. And we really had a deep conversation. He brought the situation, the scenario, the hypothetical scenario. He's like, so if you just keep doing what you're doing and keep doing more than what you're asked to, and in your job very well and with accuracy and doing as hard as you can, bringing the 100%, and you apply for something and you don't get it, you're not going to be upset. And I was like, yes, I am going to be upset, but I'm also going to analyze and see what did I do wrong, instead of just blaming the whole organization for what I didn't get. I didn't get the promotion. I'm going to analyze and ask questions. What could I have done better? What did I contribute to me not getting this, or whatever happens? Just trying to find out, to really take ownership of what happened to you, trying to find out what you contributed to the problem.
That's good. What a leader right there. That's amazing.
It's really good.
Go back to our last live stream when we talked about, that negative spiral. That guy, I don't know who it was, but that guy is kind of sitting in that negative spiral. And Walker and I talk about this a lot. So many people are willing to just sit there the rest of their life and stay in it. When you have a chance to, no, heck no. Like, what did I do? If there's something, like if I didn't get it, there's something that I could have done, or maybe it's I got to go have a dialogue with my superior or my supervisor and figure it out. And so, how do I have a hard conversation and have confrontation and be like, man, I'm not really happy about this, but teach me, show me what I need to do to get there. And then once you start taking those steps, that's what you really start growing. We have another great thing from Ryan Callahan. Responsibility to me is making sure your team is fully prepared on a daily basis because you provided them with the education that is needed to be safe and to get the job done safely every day. Most importantly, I teach responsibility so that everyone knows to go home to their family at the end of the day. And I love that. That shows Ryan's heart for the people that he's working with. And Ryan, I appreciate that because you just set me up really well for what I have to say about defining responsibility. So if you guys can let me, I put it from the leadership of a team standpoint. I said responsibility to lead a team is based on your ability to ask questions and put the right people in the seats around you. So many people think that if you're the leader, you know everything. And the more that I start to study leaders in my life, I start to see how they don't know everything and they're the first ones to admit it, but also they're willing to put people that know what to do in the right seat. And I just think about that on the job site. If you're the leader and you're in a role and you have someone reporting to you, you need to be looking at are the people in the right seat, and do I have that person that knows what they're doing in the right seat? So Jesse and I just completely talked about this before the live stream. We just talked about, as a general contractor, there's a stigma still that if I'm a general contractor, I have to know it all. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because that'll be the fear part at the end. But man, I'll be the first one to admit when I don't know something. I'm 25 years old and I'm not going to go tell a master plumber how to hang pipe. Like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not that stupid. Like, I've learned from my mistakes and I've been, chewed out enough to go, all right, let's take a beat here. Let's approach this in a different way. Let's ask questions. Let's try to figure out, what's going on. And so that's kind of what I mean by, having the ability to ask questions. But to go to that next step, when I think about a leader, if you are in a leadership role, I think about, are you training, are you delegating, and are you inspiring change? So it's more on just how you lead people with your responsibility. But to be a leader, you have such a tremendous responsibility for the people, like Ryan said, not only to get them home safely, but are you trying to advance people and bring them up with you? I mean, Walker and I talk about this all the time. Are you willing to add value to the people below you and above you? You should be trying to do that every single day. Are you delegating to the point where, hey, I'm not overcommitted. I got to learn how to do that. Walker will look at me and start laughing because that's so true. Am I willing to bring more people on and let them have more of it? And then also, am I inspiring change to tell people, man, we messed up here, but we can get better at it. And there's another way to do it. So we just got to keep reinventing ourselves every week. And I think if you get to that point, if you have a team so bought in to what we're doing, that they're willing to reinvent themselves each and every day, every week, and they're willing to grow with you, holy cow. Like, you got a machine that is well
Oh yeah.
oiled and that's ready to
Hmm.
just keep on going. And so it kind of falls into the extreme ownership part. We mentioned it really, really briefly. At least I did, but Walker and Renee, y'all hit on it great. The extreme ownership of, no matter what happens, if I'm the leader, if there's failure, I'm going to own it. It's my fault. It's not my team. I'm definitely not going to speak down to them and tell them that they did it wrong. I'm the leader. I should have been the one to own it. And then if there's praise for the team, whenever something good happens, I'm the first one to go say, "Hey guys, y'all did it. It wasn't me." That's what a real leader does, and that's what being a servant leader does, and that's how you kind of start to have these better relationships in construction. So before I get too talkative about the subject, we're going to go on to the next thing, and we're going to talk about the new leadership role. And so, if you're in this new leadership role and you're giving a team, whether you've been in this moment or not, I haven't. Renee opened up. We said we both haven't. But what is the first thing you would do, Walker?
I guess mine's going to come from experience of watching people and see how they do it. But for me, if I was in that position or the positions I've been as a young team member, a lot of the times you just start to get to know your team, and because you can't really lead a team if you don't really know them that well. You can, but you it takes, like you said, putting people in the right role. I agree, is huge. And I think that in order to do that, you start to have to really develop a relationship with those that you are going to, quote unquote, lead, because you have to learn how they manage situations, how do they manage stress, what's going on in their home life, that type of thing. You don't have to know every detail about them. You don't have to know, all the intricacies of their personal life, but at least know where they're coming from, know what's going on in any given week. They have in a family situation, whatnot. And if you start to learn how they tick and how they manage or talk to people, is someone a better people person than someone else? Is someone more detailed than someone else? You can start to lead that team better, because, like you said, you're putting them in the right role. You're giving them the right amount of responsibility. You're not overcommitting them. You're learning who takes too much responsibility. I've also been told I do that. It's like you start getting too much stuff on your plate that you can't do it all very well. So you have to start learning your team, learning who they are, learning what they do, and then go from there. You can start really leading the team, because everyone's in the right position. Everyone's running on 4 cylinders, 8 cylinders, however many cylinders you have, and you can really start crushing it, whatever you're doing. But it definitely takes a little bit of relationship and growth and personal, quote unquote, intimacy in order to really learn who someone is and how they
That's right.
work together.
That's right. That's good. And I'm just not going to say anything now because you answered just exactly how to answer it. But I do want to say one thing. James Gable, you hit it. You hit it, man. I mean, I was going to wait for that to be the end, so I'm going to come back to your comment. But just let you know, you hit it
You
with
did.
like the responsibility about the accountability. That's what I want to come to at the end. I appreciate you doing that, but I'm just letting you know at the end I'll come back to you, so don't feel like I'm skipping you. So, Jesse, you are new to a leadership role and you're given a team. What's the first thing you do?
Man, this comes from experience of doing it the wrong way a bunch of times, and it's what's the funny part is I experienced it the wrong way several times, and then I went and did it the wrong way. And what I mean by the wrong way is I've been on different companies, different crews where there's a new leader, and they come in and it's like, scrap everything you're doing. This is how we're going to do things from now on. I'm the new leader. This is the new way. Get on board or get out. And I understand the thinking, but I've also lived the outcome of that. It's not great. It's painful for everybody. It creates a lot of damage. And so there's a lot of energy wasted in repairing all the stuff that was done. So what I do is, very much like Walker said, got to learn people's names, right? Like, treat people like human beings, connect with them on whatever level they're willing to connect at. But beyond, like, that's easy. The other part is understanding what they value.
All right.
And what kind of pain are they dealing with? What are the things that the organization, the systems and the processes what are those things doing that add burden to their work? Because people want to come to work and be like, they want to have a measure of success every single day. They want to experience it. And often the policies, the processes, the systems don't facilitate that.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is understand, like, okay, what's kicking you in the face? How would you prefer to serve? And straight up, that's it. I'm trying to understand what that is, because what it does is it sets me up to take action on the things that are in their way of experiencing a degree of success.
Man, that's good.
And when I can facilitate that, man, that feels good.
Right.
And then we can, like you talked about, we start learning and growing and really run on all 8 cylinders, and we can make something happen. Now, it takes time to shut my mouth. It takes discipline to not spew all of my brilliant genius ideas, right? Like, I got to keep that to myself. And that's really where the work is.
Right. That's good, Jesse. And I mean, what does Miss Jennifer Lacey always say? People just want to matter.
That's it.
People just want to know that they matter. And if you're the leader and you don't let them matter, they'll come in every day. I'm sure they're still going to work hard, but they're not going to have that real dialogue with you when something's going wrong and they don't respond, or they give you a smart comment and you're wondering why. Like, why is he doing that? Well, it's because whenever something's wrong, that's the only time you're coming to me. You haven't taken the time to understand who I am and how I want to contribute. Everybody wants to contribute in life. There's not one person, even people that maybe are having a hard time finding a job, doesn't matter what it is, they're not in the right career field. Everyone wants to matter in life. Every single person. If you could convince me otherwise, I'm willing to listen, but every single person wants to matter in life. So we're coming back to Mr. Rene. You're new to a leadership role and you're given a team. What is the first thing you do?
Oh, I have a very cheater answer for this, because I had experienced this not too long ago in the previous department. So I was given the opportunity to lead the it was called Utilis leak detection program for our leak detection team for our water company. So when I got that responsibility, I wanted to see what everyone was doing now, like what everyone was doing, not just, each person individually. I wanted to see what was everybody doing. And then when you start looking into that, then you see that everybody's kind of doing different things. What can we do to make everybody do the same thing? And then what can we do? What do they think that could be better? What do they not like about the process? What's kind of tying them up?
That's good.
Just asking a lot of questions about their process. What do they do, instead of just immediately coming on board and telling them what to do? I wonder what they're doing and what do they think that they can be better, because they're the ones really doing it. They're the ones in the nitty gritty. So just instead of just coming on board and making all these operational changes, I wanted to observe what's kind of going on first. And of course, I didn't mention it because everybody else already nailed it, is about learning about the people, learning about what links and tech, what do they value, what are they, all that stuff. That's for sure a given. But the next thing I would do is that. And long story short, I got the opportunity to make a training class for our laptops.
That's awesome.
And it was like basically like a refresher of basic laptop skills and how to operate our Infor documentation program and how it translated to the Utilis documentation. And I got to do that. And by asking questions, I learned that a couple of our gentlemen really was struggling with the laptop and documenting things correctly. So they want to do a good job. That's another thing. Most 90% of people or more want to come to work and do a good job. But sometimes there's some hurdles in the way that leaders can change or, help them with. And then, disgruntled people are no longer disgruntled anymore because they just needed some help. They just need a little extra TLC. So I'd like to identify those things, that what people need that TLC on, what areas they need that on too.
I love that.
That's good.
That's great. I mean, the asking questions. I'm big on that, but I think about that, and I don't really have an answer. I'm kind of shifting here because y'all nailed it, guys. Y'all did a great job. But I started to notice, like, when you think of when somebody's going through something. Walker, I'm not throwing you on the bus here, so just bear with me. But Superman beside me is,
No.
I have to ask questions, and he'll finally give me a little bit, and so then I ask again and ask again. I gotta just continue, and like with Walker, you don't have to. I mean, we're best friends, but I'm not saying on a job site you have to be best friends with someone to really know what they're going through or whatever's going on. But for some people, their personality is, I got it. All right, let me try to figure it out. And you just have to be willing to give them space. And you just check in and you ask, and there's gonna be moments when, oh, okay, he's giving me something. Like I can finally start to unpack it here. Or, all right, now we're moving. And so people all work at different paces. And if I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever told Walker this, but here we go. I had to learn that. We're at different paces, and that's something in my own leadership a role that I have to learn about some other people, not just Walker, not just Jesse, not just everybody in general. I'm like, man, let's go. Let's move. I want to move. Let's get fired up. Let's go. I want to know what's going on right now. And some people are, okay, I'm going to take a step back. I want to analyze. I want to really think about it. And I had to learn that my own walk, especially in with Walker and on the job site. Not everyone's like me. I got to get out of myself. I got to get out of the way and figure out why are they doing it this way, and hopefully learn from them. Because just really quickly before I continue to ramble, there's a superintendent on my job site, and he is just the ultimate thinker. Like, he doesn't tell you anything that's going on. He's just thinking, always thinking. And when you see that, you think, man, this guy doesn't care about anything. But honestly, he has the entire floor plan in his head that he's memorized, like from the drawings. He knows where everyone's got to be. He knows like what walls got to be where, this door's got to be here, all the MEP systems. Like, he just knows it. And if you don't ask him, if you didn't spend the time getting to know him or asking questions, you just think that guy doesn't care. But his leadership role is to, I'm going to assess everything, and then when I finally think I can kind of answer the question, then I'll go and be ready. And when someone has something to say and I don't think that's right, he'll speak up and talk about it then. But you just have to learn. Everyone's at a different pace. Everyone is different, and there'll be times in my life where I'm slow and Walker's moving 1,000 miles per hour, and I'm going to have to tell him, hey, I need you to help me here, help me understand. That's just leadership. That's like, Walker and I joke all the time that us running this podcast is like dating again. Not that we're dating each other, but I mean, I got to learn about them.
It's a
I do.
relationship.
Right. Just like filling each other out. I'm with my fiance now. We're getting married in December, which I'm so excited to do. But, it's just like that all over again of who is this person? What are they doing? Why do they respond this way? And it's just, I mean, to me, that's the beauty of it. And to some people, you talk about relationships, they just don't think that it's worth that time. But man, life's so much better when you slow down and try to invest in the people around you. So before I keep going, I'll shut up. Let's look at the comments to see if anyone said anything. So we'll go back to Mr. Thomas. He said, Jocko and Leif's first rule, cover and move. I love it. It is necessary for some members of the team to provide cover while the other team members move. Amy Campbell, I'll be your machine gunner anytime. I think that's awesome. Steve Turner joined us on the show today. Mr. Iron Man.
There he is.
Great group of guys right here. I appreciate that, Steve. That's awesome. And then Miss Jamie, great content. Thank you all for joining us today. So as we move into the next part, this has been huge in my life. I have someone that I talk about ad nauseum, and if you've ever listened, I'm sure you're just sick of it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. My aunt taught me something. She taught me, Davis, you have to earn the right to speak into someone's life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Earn the right to speak? What is this garbage? Like, what are you talking about? And she's just like, I didn't say that to her, but she can read my face, and she looks at me like, okay, we're going to have to unpack this a little bit. So she just taught me a little bit about it. And I want to ask you guys before I give my answer, I want you to answer it for me. But, what are the common things that whenever you hear this? I don't have time. I'm already busy enough. So they don't want to do this, earn the right to speak into someone's life, because that's the long game. And people are built on short pleasure instead of long-term reward. Keith Johnson, thank you for that. But you have to earn the right to speak into someone's life. And so for each one of you guys, Walker, I'm coming to you first.
Yeah.
What does it mean to earn the right to speak into someone's life?
Well, I mean, honestly, that goes back to the leadership aspect of it too, is building the relationship with the person. I think that it definitely takes time to earn the right to speak in someone's life. You're not going to walk up to someone off the street and just say, "Hey, you need to start doing this," because they're just going to blow you off. And a lot of the times people don't want unsolicited advice. I've said that before. They don't want it, and if you give it to them, they might listen to it, but they're probably just going to let it go in one ear and out the other, because you haven't earned that respect. Right? You only listen to people, or you only value people's opinion if you respect that person. So you could have someone come to you that you don't know, or someone come to you that you don't like, and they can give you a piece of advice, and it might be a great piece of advice and something that you very much need. But if they haven't built that relationship with you, if they haven't earned that respect with you, then it's not going to matter. They're not going to listen to it. And so, I mean, for me, I think a large portion of that too is learning how, you could say love language, but how do people appreciate being praised, right? Because Davis, you and I appreciate it differently. I know at work, like, I just like being told that I'm on the right direction. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing a good job, right? If you tell me that, I'm in. I will work even harder for you. If I know that I'm going in the right direction.
Take notes.
So my boss has learned that pretty well now. So it's every now and then he's like, "Hey man, you're doing great. Like, keep this up, keep this up. Here's one area that you can improve on. I want to be told what I can do better, and I want to be told that I'm doing good in the areas that I'm working hard in." And that for me, that works. And it took time to learn that. But for others, it might be different. They might not want to be told they're doing a good job, but maybe if you take something off their plate, then they feel valued. They're like, "Oh, you see me. You see that I'm struggling." Yeah, exactly. Which is Davis's. You see that I'm struggling, and you recognize that, and so you took it upon yourself to do that for me. And so I think the more that
That's
you
good.
grow, and long story short, the more that you grow and learn people and learn who they are, that gives you the right to speak into their life if they allow it. And
That's
it's
good.
always that relationship thing. And they're not just going to come to you and say, "I give you the right to speak into my life." It's going to be like, "Okay, I see now you're taking things that I've said, or I see what you're doing, or we built this relationship. Let me just throw this out to you and see how you respond." And you, again, start growing it and growing it and growing it to where you can have candid conversations. Me and my boss, me and the people around me, I can tell them, "Hey, you like slow your roll there a little bit. You need to, I would come off a little less hot than you are right now on that person, or I would do that." And the other day, have a conversation. I'm like, "Just be gentle, be gentle with them." He's like, all right, I will. So it's a relationship thing, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that was awesome because, so many people frame it a different way, but I loved how you kind of set that up with leadership in the fact of, some people might like this praise. Some people might like, if they're struggling with something, take it off their plate and take it and run with it and show them how you lead with it. So, Mr. Hernandez, tell me how you earned the right to speak into someone's life.
Oh, well, Walker, excellent response, my man. You like nailed it. Um, there's a few things. So one is like no solutionizing, no solution shanking, right? Like I come up and see somebody struggle, like, "Oh, you should do this. You should try
Right.
doing it."
Yep.
Like,
That's good.
I'm losing them immediately. They did not ask for the help.
They put up that wall.
Yep.
Exactly, right?
Yep.
Because what it feels like, I know when it's happened to me, and I've done it a lot. But when it happens to me, I'm like, "Bro, I didn't even ask you for that. Like, thank you, but where are you coming from, man?" Um, Now, earning the right to, there's a shortcut, and I'll get to the shortcut here in a sec, but earning the right to speak into someone's life, I think, is, again, like you mentioned, Davis, the long game. I have to display the behaviors I'm seeking. I've got to demonstrate what I believe in. I have to demonstrate how I expect to be led, how I expect to be respected. I've got to do that. I demonstrate that by doing it for and with others.
Mm.
When I do that, when I walk in my purpose, people will see that. And so one of the easy things is people will say, "Hey, Jess, I listened to you. I heard XYZ. I need some guidance. I have a question for you." Right? So boom, that's an open invitation. But it's a result of showing up, my way all the time that helps people understand what I can provide to them. The other part, like the permission, the secret, the cheat code, because there's a lot of times when I'm interacting with people, and I think we're all compelled to serve. And so that kind of lends itself to the solutionizing, right? The solution shanks is, I know a better way. I see you struggling. I don't want you to struggle. And so we want to deliver the value that I know I have without understanding the value that you are seeking.
That's right.
So cheat code is ask for permission, right? Like,
there you go.
Hey, we're talking about this thing. May I offer some insight? May I share a story?
Yeah, that's good.
Do I have your permission to talk about this, look at this a different way? And sometimes, rarely have I gotten a no. Normally I'll ask like, hey, you mind if I ask a question?
Right.
And people that know me, they're like, oh no, because this is going deep. I already know we're going to be digging all up into my brain. But when they say yes, now we had a decision, we had an agreement, and I can speak into their lives. But it's with the utmost respect and appreciation for their capabilities as a human being with agency in their own life. When I come at them with, here's what you're doing wrong,
right?
Subliminally, what they're receiving is they're not capable of handling their own business, and that doesn't feel good.
That's good. I love that because, I mean, you're stealing my answers again, guys. Y'all are doing great today. I mean, I didn't even give y'all these and y'all got them. So I love that. But I think about just times at work. It's so easy in the time when you're so busy, you don't have time to slow down and you just rattle something off and tell someone. You might have walked by and you just tell them something and they're like they look at you like, why'd you just say it? Like, I'm not even asking you. You're like, you're not even in this conversation. I'm not going to listen to you. But if you earn the right, if you come in by going, hey, I heard something. Is it okay if I ask a question? If I don't care who you are, I don't care if I don't know you. If someone does that for me, I'm willing to listen because you're willing to take a moment and care, but you're also asking permission. Hey, can I speak to your life? Can I challenge you a little bit? That's what I ask Walker a little bit every now and then. Or I ask, my fiance or someone at work, can I challenge you? Can I ask a question? Can I understand what you're going through? And they're like, well, yeah, sure. And you can just kind of walk it out instead of just, oh, well, this is what you did wrong. You suck at this. You need to get better at this. And this is how we do it. Well, I just don't think that's really being a leader at all. That's just someone that's responding to how they see it. And that's really not choosing to lead someone, in my opinion. It's not earning the right, that's for sure. So, Rene, we're coming to you. What does it mean to earn the right to speak into someone's life?
Uh-oh. Can't hear you.
Rene.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes,
sorry
sir.
about that. Yeah, so I wish we had this conversation about like 2 or 3 days ago because I was just having this conversation with a buddy of mine about, and I answered it differently, but I wish I could have said it like this. He asked me, he's like, why are you doing all this extra stuff and trying to like make the job easier for everyone else when there's no guarantee you're going to get the foreman's job? There's no guarantee. They're just going to pick the next suck ass in the office over you. That's what he said. And I wish I would have answered it because I'm earning the right to speak in my team's life. Because I really wish we would have had this so I could say that. Because all that stuff, I wish somebody did this for me. I wish somebody took the extra step to make my job easier, like lead down little paper trails and stuff like that of my investigations and, taking pictures and just really giving everybody else, their team members around them, a leg to stand on when they get into that spot.
That's right.
And I'd like to think that when I get into a leadership role, I'd like my team to do that too. So if I want them to do that, I need to be doing that myself. I need to be, like Jesse said, displaying the behaviors and efforts that I want. I need to display that right now. It doesn't just start when I'm in the leadership role. I need to start now.
That's right. And I mean, Rene, you hit it, and so did Jesse. because Miss Jennifer Lacey said, yes, Jesse, we have to display the behaviors we want to see. Are we open to receive others when people speak or what people speak to us? And I just think about that. When you have to display the behaviors people want to see, if you're not doing that and you're trying to tell someone to do it, what are you? You're the biggest hypocrite. And especially in construction, people don't think about it, but the tradesmen and women, they are some of the most emotionally intelligent people I've ever understood. They may not know it, but they know when you're blowing smoke. They know when you're just trying
Oh, yeah.
to get around them. They know, like, man, what's going on? I'm not going to start going down that road because that's a whole different live stream series. But they understand it. They don't. You don't think they do, but they really do. And so, if you're going to come and try to talk to someone, especially earning the right, I love what you're talking about. You have to display the behavior as a leader, and then you have to be willing. I go a next step, whether they take it or not, or whether they change from it or not, and they're actually willing to change, you have to be willing to keep on showing up and displaying that behavior. Because some people, again, they want to see it over again. They want to see it over again. They want to see it. They just want to keep on seeing. And once they finally feel that you did it, that's the whole earning the right part. You're earning it. It's going to be hard. You're pressing on. You're not just giving up after one chance. Like, it's investing into people, and I'm getting fired up about it because I just love people, but that's what it's about. You have to be willing to be so committed to the people on your job site, and that's what's going to make the project move forward. It's not what we build. Guys, we know how to build stuff. Like, it's like, we know people, there's general contractors, there's designers, engineers, there's the tradesmen and women. We know how to build stuff. It's not the stuff that we can't do, it's the people. So how do we lead the people? How do we show up every day and continue to get better? And I like what Ryan said. He said, I feel first things first, if you have to get to respect from that individual to let them into the life, after you get into that person's life, you have to really understand their life. I think that's important. As a leader in my business and working in the field and leadership roles for many years, you realize many people have personal obstacles to overcome besides that job or the opportunity you are providing them. Some of your team members might have a sick child at home, or maybe even have some marital issues. And that's the part when you're earning the right. Like, once you earn the right, people start to open up and tell you about that, to where you as the leader know, hey, there's something going on. I took the time to invest in them, and I know, hey, I'm not going to be on top of them, but I might be able to speak to someone else in that same company, help them get some help in that time. It's all about the people. And again, I'll argue with anybody about it's always about the people. So you guys, again, you stole my answer, so I don't have anything to say. So let's go to the next one. And this is kind of where I wanted to land. And we're probably going to go a little bit over today because this has been awesome. But I want to talk about fear in a new leadership role, because this is the big thing. And I'm going to talk about it first, if you guys don't mind. Do you guys care? All right.
Come on.
So to be completely honest, I'm 25 years old. I graduated college December of 2020. And what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean a lick. It doesn't mean anything. And so whenever I go out to that job site and people know that I'm in the field and, oh, you're a college boy. Yeah, you're right. And I tell them, I got to earn the right to know anything, to tell you anything. And they look at me like, what the crap is this guy talking about? Well, it's because I've had revelation in my life. I don't know what I don't know. And so the fear in having a new leadership role is those guys, it's crazy. They think that I'm their boss, and I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to go tell them, like, again, about how to do their certain trade. But my fear in my leadership role is that I don't know enough on the technical side. And it's true. So how do you unpack that? Well, I started to understand, and I'll go to argue with someone about this any day of the week, is that I don't have to know everything. I have to be willing to put the people in the right seats. And what I mean by that is I work for a general contractor. I love who I work for, Brassel and Gorey. I love that they've given me the opportunities that they have on these job sites. But, man, I don't know everything. And I'll be the first one to admit that they'll admit that we don't know everything. So how do we invest in the relationships, and how do we put the people in the right seats with our trade partners? They're the experts, and they're the ones that know how to do it. So I need to spend the time getting to know what they know how to do. So I'm not going to go up to, again, I give this example. We talked about it before, Jesse. I'm not going to go up to you when you're a plumber back in your tradesman days, when you're just all rough and tough and not this emotional little.
Didn't have the silver fox
That's
look.
right. That's right. But I'm not going to go up to him and tell him how to hang pipe or how to install hot water. Or I'm not going to, because the fear in my leadership role is I don't know what I don't know, but he does. So I'm going to go ask questions. That really just builds off of what we've talked about. So Jesse, Walker, Renee, we're going to go to Walker first. What fear have you guys had in a new leadership role?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and you hit it very well as usual. I think for me, I, so going back to the last question, there's something that someone, I can't remember exactly who it was. Maybe it was Caroline, maybe it was someone else, but someone told me that it takes about 90 days or 3 months for you to really understand who that person is, or if they're faking it or not, because someone can only fake it for so long. And that boded very true in my life, because on one of the jobs I was working on, we had a guy that came and worked for us for a little bit, a laborer on site, nice dude. And I know he had a lot going on personally, but honestly, at almost at the exact 3 month mark, at the exact 90-day mark, everything went downhill. He stopped showing up and he never came back. And so it's like for that 3 months, he was great. He worked hard. He did everything right. And then he just stopped. And so it takes time to do that. And for me, a fear I have is, well, what am I putting forward that I want people to quote unquote see that I can't sustain for a longer period of time? And so it's making that internal look of having to be real and authentic, which is easy to do, but a lot of times you'll be like, oh, but I want people to think that I can do this, or I want people to think that I'm this, and unknowingly put up a front in the very beginning that you can't sustain for a longer period of time, and have to walk that back or have to learn how to do it again, which makes people question your leadership or question who you are and your authentic self, I guess you could say, if that makes sense, if I'm putting that forward right. That's definitely a fear. And I think by doing that, you have to know yourself. You have to know what makes you tick. How do you handle situations? How do you approach people? Which means you have to be authentic, and you have to get to learn people, and you have to know who they are in order to be able to be a leader. And also just not, I think another fear I'd have is the fear of again, taking on too much of things on your plate, that something's going to fall and you're not going to be there for someone when you have to be. So I think that, again, that comes down to knowing yourself, knowing what you can do, which is, if someone comes to you, hey, I have this, but you have so much stuff going on over there that you took on without wisdom, unwisely, that you're not able to help that individual coming to you right now.
Right.
And I guess those are some fears. I could go more on along the lines with it, but definitely all that comes down to is are you authentic? Do you know what makes you tick, which takes a lot of introspection? And are you able to lead the team that you have now, even if it's a small team? Because as Jesus says, if you can't handle the little things, then I'm not going to give you the big things. So you have to be able to handle the little things right, and the 1 or 2 people on your team first, in order to handle the 100, 200, 300 member teams later.
That's right. Good stewardship. I love it. You set that up great. Mr. Hernandez, what fear do you have in a new leadership role?
So I'm blessed in that I've learned a bunch after having multiple or going through many, many transitions in different roles. And so I want to say this, my assessment now, my current understanding of where my fear largely came from in the past was in security. So what I mean is there was a time where financially I needed the income that the leadership role provided. Like if I didn't have that income, I wasn't going to be able to pay for all the damn shiny garbage that I've been buying. And what that did was it created a condition that I was very scared or nervous about making a bad decision or not looking executive and all these things. Because if I don't do that, I lose my job, or I lose the role, I lose the income, and then I have this debt that I have to overcome. Now, I've designed my life such that debt is not an issue for me. And, if you can't tell, I've been working out. So if I need a dance to earn some money, I'm ready to go. Now, there was a specific thing that really, it was a scary, very long period of nervous, scared, unsure. And so when I was at TD Industries, I had a theory or a hypothesis that if we put together transitional training to take people from installer to foreman and foreman to superintendent, that it would transform the lives of the people doing the work, and it would transform the business outcomes. And they gave me the responsibility of creating the curriculum and delivering the curriculum. So I did. I didn't know it was going to work. I just believed it was going to work.
That's right.
And so my fear was, am I leading people astray?
That's good.
Am I leading us into a situation that is worse than where we started?
Ooh, wow.
It's really
Right?
good.
Like, am I going to leave this place better than I found it or worse than I found it? That was the fear. And that still kind of runs through my mind, but I have faith. I've got a body of work that reinforces that I'm not that horrible. Like sometimes I do good stuff. And so I just have faith in that. And I surround myself with amazing people like y'all that are going to speak life into me and call me out and question and challenge. And when we do the collaborative approach and when I'm open-minded and ready to receive, I haven't made any really big boo-boos since then.
That's right.
That's mine. That's my answer.
I love that, Jesse, because
It's really good.
Miss Jennifer Lacey, just what y'all been doing in a sense, if you want to just talk about it, is that the vulnerability piece. The vulnerability piece, that next step is going, and you are the leader and you're in front of your team. Hey guys, I messed up at this, and you walk through life and maybe you tell them about something personal that's going on, and this is why I wasn't able to lead, and this is my fear. How can you guys help me? Holy cow, if you do that, again, that's another thing. I just start to get fired up of wanting to help somebody. Not in a sense because I know anything, but because they're showing their heart. They're being human. It's not, I'm Superman or Superwoman and I know everything and I can do it all, and most days I got it. But the days that really when you got your head down and there's people that really care about you and they're willing to pick up some slack maybe that you need other people to pick it up, and you just tell them you're being vulnerable and being a human, because guess what, we're all humans and we need. And I think even more the fear of the vulnerability, once you finally get vulnerable with people, you'll start to realize, hey, I'm bad at this. Hey, I'm bad at this. Hey, I need help here. And everybody starts to open up. And that's when the real life change again continues to happen. So, Rene, I'm going to let you follow that up. What fear do you have in a new leadership role?
So one fear that I have had, which I just recently got over, thanks to shout out to Sabino Hernandez, my old foreman, and then Jesse followed it up later, is I was afraid to be wrong. And I've said it here on the live stream before, is he was the one who told me, if you're afraid to be wrong, if you're afraid to make a wrong decision, then you're not going to make it here. That's what he told me. And I just clicked, right? And then Jesse said, think about somebody you respect in your company and think, have they been wrong? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, did your opinion change about them? No, it didn't. So that was like, okay, that was very eye-opening. So now I'm not afraid to do that anymore. But one thing I have a fear of now is, okay, so let's say I'm not afraid to be wrong anymore, which I'm not. Because I have a passion to, I guess, make people see things from a different perspective and actually enjoy their situations at our job, at our company. I think with a different mindset, you'll see we don't have it bad. It's only as bad as you make it. Right. And I like to try to influence people to see it a different way. And I've got the opportunity to see that change in some people. And but that being said, and I'm willing to be corrected, but I feel like if I didn't have any kind of credibility or anything, nobody would listen about that. So I'm afraid to make like a series of wrong decisions, or really being vulnerable, consistently making wrong decisions and mistakes and undermining myself. Yep. And now people are like, why would we listen to this guy? That guy's always messing up. He's good. And I've heard it before. You hear the chatter around the yard and stuff that, oh yeah, that so-and-so ain't worth a damn. And, right. They don't know what they're doing. And I don't want to be that guy, because then I feel like I wouldn't be able to help people anymore if they don't listen.
That's good. I love that, Renee. I appreciate you being willing to share that. Guys, I mean, y'all have done an amazing job, but I kind of just really quickly, it might be another 10 minutes when I say really quickly, but I want to just kind of go through some of the comments. And I want to go back to James Gable. And guys, help me out here if I'm missing something. But, the best way of how uh, the best way I can say it is James Gable said, early in my career, I would take all the blame as the leader. I've learned that is the wrong approach. I learned to take the responsibility as a leader, but also needed to place the responsibility and accountability on others so they can learn and be better. And I'm just going to leave that up right there, and I'm going to try to walk through this. And this is kind of what I wanted to end on. And this is why I said earlier, James will come into you, is that, again, there's this stigma that you have to know it all. We talked about it, but in the sense of if you're a GC, that I have to know everything about everything. And honestly, if that's true, why the heck am I hiring people that are experts in it? I mean, I'm just being honest. Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. So there's also the stigma around that if I get to spend time with people, if I try to know what's going on in their lives, if I'm actually doing that stuff to actually know about people, that I'll never be able to hold them accountable. And that's wrong too. So there's this medium, there's this line that people just, there's a stigma. Well, what if we come to the middle and start to unpack that? Walker, I love what you said earlier. Why not? Do you ever sit in your thoughts and think about it? Like, I want to challenge people to do that when some people just don't even do that. Like, that's a scary place to go sometimes. But when you go back and you think about this, um, there's there's a wrong way to be held people accountable, and I think that that's that old school, and just I'm speaking about it because I'm in the field. This old school mentality about being a superintendent and just telling them to suck it up, Buttercup, and let's go. Obviously, they say a little bit worse than that, but it's I don't care what you're saying. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do this, and you're just going to have to figure it out yourself. Well, I think that there's a way you hold people accountable. And Jesse, guys, we all talked about it. Are you willing for me to challenge you here? Have you took the time as the leader to spend time knowing who your foremen are, what they're good at, what their personality is, what their strength is, what their weakness is? Have you earned the right to speak into their life? And then after that, know when something's going on personally. On my job site right now, we have a masterful superintendent that you wouldn't know it. You don't think that he knows about his people. Man, he knows how to talk to each person in that room, and he's a master at it. I've learned so much from him coming to this job site, and just think, man, how valuable he is. And I mean, it's just amazing to see how he knows this person responds this way. He knows this person responds with a challenge this way, and he knows how to unpack it because whenever he's not around in these meetings, he's going to talk to these foremen and he's going to spend time with them. And I've walked around the corner before while I'm doing daily reports and all this stuff, and I see him investing in these people a lot in these people's lives, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing that he's willing to take the time to do that. And so I hope I explained that the right way, because when you think about accountability, so many people think accountability is just confrontation, and so many people are afraid to have confrontation. But if you've earned the right, if you learned about your team and you ask for permission, there should be no wrong. There shouldn't be this fear of, man, I'm going to act out in the wrong way. It's as simple as having a question, having a dialogue, and not being willing to have to curse somebody out. Like, you can be a leader and hold people responsible and hold them accountable to your thing. And I will even say they're going to respect you more, especially if whenever in that same standpoint, you own your mistakes and you're vulnerable. They'll love that. Your team will love that. And so, any thoughts on that, guys? I see Jesse smiling.
I've got a thought. So but here's my theory is we have convoluted what accountability means. And what I mean by that is when I hear people talk about accountability, they're always talking about holding other people accountable.
Okay.
And in my head, that's a deflection 100%.
That's good.
I am accountable to every commitment I make.
Mhm.
So I've got to make a commitment.
Right.
We have to secure commitments. So I think we're not very good at securing commitments.
That's good. That's a good way.
Right. We will put pressure on people, get them to nod their head, but we never secured a commitment. Right. And so what's a commitment? It is yes, I will. No, I won't. No counts also. I will have X and Y by X date. So who's responsible? Who's the act? What's the action? And when is it due? And if we have agreement on those things or clarity on those things, now we have a commitment. Now I might have to remind somebody, or I might have to understand what resources they need to deliver on the commitment. And when I'm doing that, I'm being accountable to my responsibility as a leader.
That's good.
Coming to them after the fact because they failed to provide the deliverable, that's not accountability.
Yeah.
That's reactive mode,
Yes.
butt chewing, screaming, yelling, hollering. Because the courage is getting clear on what the damn commitment or the request is at the gate. Not saying, well, they just didn't, and they, and owning, yeah, they agreed under duress because I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally they said, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
Because they just wanted to get away from the pain.
Right.
They didn't understand the commitment to begin with.
That's good. I love that.
Really good.
And that, I mean, that I never thought about that way. We're not good at securing commitments, but that also, what you just talked about, Jesse, it makes me think of a lot of us are reactive, and we're not doing that upfront work. Like you said, out the gate, at the very beginning, start it and establish that with people. So I think you just established that really great. I mean, that's something that you added value to at least me and Walker and Renee. So I hope other people got that. But, kind of as we wind down, I just wanted to give people an opportunity for you guys to tell us, what are you doing, and tell us about what do you have going on in the future. I know Jesse and Renee are working a podcast together, but tell us about some of the stuff you're getting out.
So Rene, he's in the process of buying a new home for him and his beautiful family. And because he's, I'm a social media mogul, but he's a celebrity, right? And so every now and then he's going to be making cameos on the Learnings and Missteps podcast and building his life, being a responsible husband, a responsible father. Rene, I'm proud of you, man. Like, being up here with you guys and being up here with Rene is very special to me. Now, what we have going on outside of that, we got the No BS tribe. Jennifer and I, we've got the live stream next Saturday, every other Saturday. No BS with Jen and Jess. And you can tell in the comments, there's a bunch of people here that we interact with on the regular, on LinkedIn, and on No BS with Jen and Jess. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Mr. Edward Rivera is out there right now.
That's right.
I'm having the privilege of interviewing him in the next hour.
Sure, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man, it's going to be big, and that'll be coming out soon. And the privilege to serve with you guys, and also Steve Turner was up here earlier. So we're going to be live streaming on Bring Back the Trades Wednesday evening, elevating, the careers and the trades out there, man.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. What about you, Walker?
Oh man, what do I got going on? Personally, pretty good, man. Starting to ramp up on the job site. Be traveling a lot. It's not a bad thing. Hopefully, be traveling to meet with you now, since you're going to be close to where I live on the road. But man, laying foundations wise, I like to think that we have a lot coming up. A lot of it's kind of on the behind the scenes that we're doing to hopefully jut it forward for the future. But working on just partnering with some cool people, trying to get more, content out there for people to be able to read and listen, career stuff wise, just to help people grow in their career, if they're transferring jobs, if they want to go into the trades, if they want to go into GC, wherever. We're there for anyone who might need some help. You and I have been around for a little bit, at least, to be able to have a lot of interviews, to have I do a lot of career fair stuff, everything. So we're there to help anyone who might need a little bit of advice. But other than that, man, we're pushing out some great content with some great people every week. Love people tuning in, trying to get involved in some extracurricular activities, I guess I call it, with Third Lens and all kinds of people. But Davis, what else do we have coming up?
Man, I'm not going to completely put it out there, but I might be starting to write something. I don't know exactly what I'm going to title it yet or anything.
That's right.
Or I'm just going to put that out there. We might be working on writing stuff. I'm just leave it there. Another thing that I just been constantly thinking about is the training aspect. Well, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm working on developing coursework around how do you train the young people to be successful in construction. And I think that something that just really fires me up, and this might be, we might go on another 30 minutes here, but what infuriates me is how we just say, there's this labor shortage. People don't want to come into construction. There's these old people that are wanting to leave, and young people won't come in. And I'm challenging myself to what am I doing to help? I mean, we established the podcast. That's great. What's the next step? What are we doing? Well, I've spent the past year and a half learning how to earn the right of my superintendent, how to speak into his life, how to be a leader, how to invest at the lowest I can be. Like I'm the lowest of the low of the low, but I can still be a leader. I can still bring impact. What were those things that made me successful? And I've taken notes over the past year and a half. I'm starting to write on this, but man, what are we doing for these young people? Most of the time, it's just go get with the older guy and learn from him.
Yep.
I want to unpack it in detail and show people what it means to be successful and what does it mean to be successful. And man, you're getting me fired up. But Jesse, you just mentioned it earlier. Man, we're not pursuing a title. The title doesn't mean crap. Like I want to be a servant leader to other people. Like I'm not worried about being some president of some company one day. If I get there, that's great. But I'm not looking to have the most income at whatever. I'm looking to have a purpose-filled, fulfilled life where when I look back one day, I can go, man, I made an impact with the people around me. I made an impact on Renee, with Jesse, with Walker. I was willing to have life with them. I care more about you guys than I do about what I build. I mean, I care about it. I want to build it. I want to have that great product. That's why we're in construction. But I care so much about the people on my job site that I'd be willing, if I could, just sit there all day and listen to them. And how do I help them get there? How do I help them? Can I earn the right a little bit more today? Can I help them, push them to go, okay, yeah, I can blow this sprinkler main out today because they've spent some time wanting to know what's going on in my life. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing. I'll shut up now. Renee, what are you working on, my friend?
Yeah, like Jesse mentioned earlier, we got our offer accepted for our house. We're hoping to close the deal in early April. We're seeing the finish line on that. Moving furniture. I'm testing for my TCEQ wastewater collectors operators license in April 22nd.
Yeah.
And as far as like social media celebrity status, just point to Jesse and his learning and missteps and all that.
That's right. That's right. I like that. Renee, I mean, that's a huge part of your life. I'm proud of you. I have no clue what it's like to buy a house, but I can just go ahead and tell you, I'm about to move an apartment. I don't know what it's like to buy a house and financing and getting everything with my family. So I appreciate you and what you do for us, man. It's amazing to think that. Guys, go for it.
Well, real quick, I told my a superintendent I used to have. He called me. I had to call him for an emergency call the other day and notify him. And he was like, "Hey, how's it going? How's life going or whatever?" And I told him I was like, "Well, I'm like really close to closing the deal on this house." He's like, "What? You buying a house?" He said, "Man, you're screwed." He said,
Yeah. You never know until you go through it. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how much crap I have that I don't need to have. Like I'm literally just like, man, what can I give away now? Like I don't need this stuff, and I think I'm pretty lean on my lifestyle anyway. But to the audience that's been here today, we appreciate you giving your time. I am going to follow Jesse up with saying, Mr. Riviera, we're getting to record with him, the elevator expert of how to build upward. We're interviewing him on the 30th, so we're going to get to hear it from Jesse than us. But super excited about what we're doing. Super excited that people want to listen to us, that we get to add any value. Like I don't think we have the right to do any of this, but you guys are willing to let us do it. And it's because of you that we do it. We hope that it's not just us. We want to bring you along with us, and whatever we can do to make you guys successful, not just laying foundations, but also Learning Missteps podcast. Whatever you want to do to help us get involved, whatever you can help us with, please feel free to reach out to us. Give us feedback. We want to know it. We love it because if we're doing something wrong or we're doing something great, we want to learn from it. So thank you guys for coming. Next month, we'll have the last live stream for the Defining Relationships in construction, and this one's going to be on continuous improvement. We're going to go a little lean. So I thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next month.
Peace.
Peace, guys. Thank you very much.